What kind of pushback do you get from students when you say things like that?
Two lesbian at Texas State University a few years ago, stepped out of the crowd and said, do you love racists? And I said, absolutely, I love racists. I hate racism, but I love racists. They're human beings created in the image of God. And these two lesbians erupted. You're an idiot. There's no way that you should be loving a racist. And I said, ladies, you're really getting mixed up here.
According to Christ, racism is wrong. What my teammates in college did, the fellow basketball teammates I had, when they went out and womanized, that was wrong. That doesn't mean you're less valuable than my basketball buddies, than my racist buddies. We're all human beings created in the image of God, and God loves all of us.
Wait, you just said you had racist buddies?
Yes, I have racist friends.
Oh, okay. Nah, I got you.
And wait. No, and what do you think I say to my racist friends, guys?
You shouldn't be friends with them, though.
Oh, I see. So because you're racist, we can't be friends.
Yes.
Are you kidding?
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
No, you guys are part of a cancel culture that doesn't understand grace and forgiveness. I have friends who have been sexist, who are racist, who are homophobic. I have skinhead friends. I have atheist friends. I have agnostic friends. I have friends who have date raped. I have friends who've done all types of evil. And I plead with them. I love you. I'm concerned about you. Please come to Christ and allow Christ to change your life. And I don't look into the face of a white racist and say, you're a piece of dirt and I don't want to be with you. No, I plead with them. No, I shouldn't. Jesus never treated anybody that way.
There are some very sinful parts of me. I do not affirm those parts. I hate those parts. But I affirm my value as a human being created in the image of God. I do not affirm racism, but I affirm the fact that those racists are human beings created in the image of God. And I've got some former murderers coming to the church where I pastor. I abhor their murdering a human being, but I still respect them as human beings created in the image of God. And when I worked in a Lawrence County House of Correction in Lawrence, Massachusetts, while I was in seminary, the first visit I would make every Monday night was into the cell of a guy in protective custody who was there for kidnapping little boys, sexually abusing them and murdering them and burying them. And after spending an hour with him, talking with him, reading the Bible, praying with him, I would go to the gymnasium to play basketball. And the other inmates would come up to me and say, hey man, don't you know what a piece of dirt he is? How dare you spend any time in his cell talking with him? And I said, sirs, I abhor what he did to those boys, but I can promise you, in spite of how he has messed up and defaced the image of God in him, he is still a human being created in the image of God. And I will seek to reach out to him to offer God's grace and forgiveness to one confused, messed up man.
How'd they respond?
They got quizzical looks on their faces. Some of them laughed, and I understand that, because that is foreign, and it is absurd, and as you pointed out, it's really radical the way Jesus taught that. But that's part of why we have so many lonely people in our society today, because we live in a cancel culture, which means you rub me the wrong way and I cancel you. Well, guess what? Everybody's going to rub me the wrong way at some point.
Yeah.
And if I'm just going to go around canceling people, I'm going to be a very lonely, isolated person. If I don't learn to forgive, I will be alone. Intimacy is based on the ability to forgive and to accept people who are different and who've hurt you.
Yes. That is such a wise point. You know, if you think you're the only virtuous person in the world,
No
first,
kidding.
you're an idiot, but second, you will have no one at dinner.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah, no, I think that's really wise. But a child molester, really? Shouldn't there be limits to humanity? Like at some point, do you lose your humanity? I guess what you're saying is no.
You deface it.
Yes.
And obviously some of us have defaced it in very, very unusual, grotesque ways. But we all have defaced it to some extent. I have. No, I've never committed the sins that man committed that I would visit every Monday night. But I've lusted. I've been greedy. I've hated. I've had subtle racist attitudes. I've been sexist, chauvinistic in my own unique way, sophisticated way. So I'm not this wonderful person that I wish that everyone believed that I am. No, Solzhenitsyn was correct. The line separating good from evil runs through every human heart, including this guy's heart.
What did the lesbians at Texas State say when you told them that you love racists?
They were outraged. They said, that's impossible. And I said, ladies, from your perspective, I understand why. If there is no God, forgiveness is stupid. You don't forgive people. You teach them not to do that to you again. But if there is a God who's forgiven you, then you'd be very wise to be God-like in the way you forgive others.
It's August, and something profound, maybe even countercultural, is happening right now this month. It's called the St. Michael the Archangel Prayer Challenge. It's available on the Hallow app. Now, before you start, ponder the question, when was the last time you really confronted your vices? Not the fake ones, the real ones. Anger, pride, envy, greed. The things that turn us into empty vessels and leave us vulnerable in a world increasingly hostile to truth and beauty. This prayer challenge will lead you to address those vices head on, and the benefits are enormous. It is good for your soul. You can say that about very few things. Now, the best is it's not just about everyone's bad habits. It's about the ongoing war happening inside each and every one of us. The thing I want to do, I don't do. Vice versus virtue, light against darkness. Humans have turned to figures like Michael the Archangel for support in the battle against evil for thousands of years, and that's why the challenge is based around him. It's perfect whether you are Catholic or not. Think you're ready to dive in? We cannot recommend it enough. It is a frequent topic of conversation at our dinner table, and you can begin yours. Get 3 free months of Hallow at hallow.com/Tucker. Hallow.com/Tucker. You'll be grateful you did. What kind of reactions do you get from students when you say people are not inherently all good?
Tucker, if you were my son, and I were to try and convince you, Tucker, you really do have innate value, but there is no God who made you. But you do have innate value. You do have real value, Tucker. Do you get it, Tucker? You're valuable. You're the greatest. You are the greatest. And I want you to go home now, Tucker, and I want you to repeat that to yourself 100 times. I am the greatest. I am the greatest. I am the greatest. And you and I live in a culture that is so filled with that type of thinking that we just have to affirm ourselves to try and convince ourselves that we really do have value. And that's a short walk into fantasy land.
Well, it's also so obviously not true that it creates a lot of inner tension and anxiety in the person who's hearing it.
Bingo.
Because you know you're not the greatest, actually.
Exactly.
And you know who you are on some level.
Yep.
Maybe not all the details, but you know you're a mixed bag like everybody.
Yep.
And so to have to live in a lie like that makes you tense.
Doesn't it?
I think it does.
I think it does also.
So when you say that, people get their dander up.
Oh, absolutely.
What do they say?
You are so judgmental, calling me a sinner. Who do you think you are?
What do you say?
Do you support the law that says equal housing opportunity? Do you respect a law that says I'm not allowed to be biased against people of different ethnic heritages when I rent my apartment? Yeah, I think you do, don't you? And so do I. We all have to make judgments. So please don't tell me you don't make judgments. We all make judgments, and we better make judgments between what is good and what is evil. Now, obviously, the difficult ethical question is, what is good and what is evil? Where should we draw the boundary lines? But please don't tell me that I'm being judgmental. You're just as much judgmental as I am. And when Jesus says, judge not lest you be judged, he's not saying, suspend your critical thinking and blindly accept everything as equally valid. Baloney. 14 verses later, in Matthew 7:15, Jesus says, beware of false prophets. They come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ferocious wolves, and they will eat your lunch, guys. So don't be gullible. You got to be skeptical, Jesus is teaching. Why? Because good and evil are so intertwined in this messed up world we live in that if you're not skeptical, you'll get ripped off. Don't do that. It's not smart.
So again, you're just making the point that everybody has a kind of strict religion.
Yes.
But, only one is true, which is your position. And the rest are just silly.
Well, I'm not trying to say that only one is true mine, because I've made a lot of mistakes when it comes to defining right and wrong. What I am saying is, because there's a supernatural God whose character is good, therefore, throughout eternity, good is real. Objectively real. It's not a subjective taste. It's real. And God has hardwired you and me in such a way that we have consciences and rational minds. And by exercising our consciences and rational minds in a responsible way, we can really begin to understand what is good and what is evil. I mean, Tucker, to be honest with you, the biggest ethical dilemma that I face in life is, in light of the fact that we have the solution for starving babies, why do I keep as much money for myself? Why do I not give more away? So for me to come riding into town on some ethical high horse is a little ridiculous, because I've got my own blind spots. I've got my own prejudices. But what I seek to do, Tucker, is to point people to Jesus Christ, to point people to have a relationship with him, to pray to him for wisdom, to ask his Holy Spirit to sensitize their consciences so they can begin to distinguish between what is good and what is evil, what is morally responsible and what is morally irresponsible.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. We hope you'll subscribe to it. And by the way, you can hit the little bell on there and get notifications every time we produce a video. We hope you'll do that also.